story time on how I found out my boyfriend of 7.5 years was cheating on me because I found an avocado on the counter. And just a quick disclaimer, if you are said person / said person's people watching this video, two things come to mind. One, if you don't want bad things that you do to be talked about, maybe you shouldn't do bad things. Just a thought. And two, emotional cheating is still cheating. It does not matter if you slept with them or not. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, nor do I care. You still cheated. So now that all that's out of the way, just some little backstory. We were together from 18 to 26 and living together from like 24 to 26. And we were going through this like weird phase starting in like November, which November is important. Keep that in mind. Going through like weird roommate phase where it was like, we weren't really sure what was going on, like something was off, but like that's normal. Like a lot of long-term couples go through that. It's fine. 7 years in, like we were going to work on it. Everything was going to be fine. Then it got to the point where it was just like going on for too long. Nothing was changing kind of thing. So we mutually decided we were going to go on a month-long break. He was going to move into our friend's apartment that they were still paying for, but they were living out of the state for work, which was in the same exact building. That's also important. And he was going to move out and then we were going to figure it out. I did not need a month. I only needed a week to decide that I no longer wanted to be with a man-child, and especially not for the rest of my life. And so I asked if he could come over so we could talk about it. So he came over and it was like the most chill breakup ever. All of our friends were like, "Are you okay?" We were like, "Yeah, it's fine." We hugged each other. We were going to be friends. It was all good. Like, no harm, no foul. Everything's fine. I was going to Atlanta the next week for a little girls trip. And so I told him, those 4 days that I'm gone, I was gone like Tuesday to Friday. Those 4 days you can move your things out. Now, mind you, this is important. He only had like some clothes, shoes, toiletries, like Legos, things like that to move out. But like he didn't have any furniture to move out. He wasn't moving across the state. Again, he was moving like literally one floor up. And that's it. That's all he had to do. So I thought 4 days was plenty. So I come back from my Atlanta trip, having a great time, immediately walk in pissed because I see his diplomas on the counter, like he has stuff everywhere, and he didn't move literally anything out except for like maybe 5 pairs of pants and some shirts. Not enough, to be honest. So I reached out to him because that was rude and disrespectful. And he said that he had been really busy with work that week, but he was at a bar with some friends. Stupid. And I said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." So I packed up all of his things. It took me 6 minutes flat to throw all of his shit into trash bags and take it up the one flight of stairs and throw it into our friend's apartment. So I go into the friend's apartment and immediately I know that something's off. You know, like just that intuition, like that gut feeling. Like if you're a girl, you know. And I walked in and I saw a half-eaten avocado on the kitchen island. And something that you might not know about me is that I love avocados, okay? My favorite food in the world. Eat one all the time. Probably almost every day. And he hated avocados. And I said, "I know who's been here." Immediately I knew. So I put his things down. And I did something that I am not necessarily proud of. But again, if this is the worst thing that I did, I'll take it. So I saw his journal on the coffee table with like a pen in like the pages, and so I walked over, opened it up, and sure enough, there was an entire page written and dated about 2 days after we broke up, maybe 3. An entire page written about how in love he was with his coworker. So I take a picture of it and immediately leave because now I'm pissed because that's just disrespectful and rude. Okay, now I understand that at this point we've been broken up. We were on a break for a week. At this point we were broken up for like a week or so. I get it. Okay. However, you do not fall in love with somebody in 3 days after breaking up with your girlfriend of 7.5 years. Okay. I'm sorry. Not buying it. I would also like to point out that he had told me, while we were breaking up, that he had spoken to said coworker and asked for some advice. I thought that was a little fishy, but I didn't think it was really my place because we were already broken up. So who cares? Until I found out that he had gone to her numerous times since November about our relationship, and she used that as an in, and now they are together. Now I have to say thank you to the both of them. Thank you. because now I am free, thank God. Hallelujah. And to all the men out there, you cannot rationalize emotional cheating. Sorry. I was told they did not sleep together. I don't really care if they did or not. Because falling in love with somebody while you are going to your home and sharing a bed with somebody that you claim to be in love with is disgusting and gross and rude and disrespectful. So that's my story. So I hope that they are living a happy life. Again, thank you. I am much better off. And yeah, that's exactly how an avocado told me that my long-term boyfriend was cheating on me with his coworker for the last 5 months, and I had no idea. So I would also like to state that this is why I tore apart all of the Legos, put them into one collective trash bag, threw out all of the wheels, and gave all of them back to him. And it was healing, and I do not regret it. So, thank you.
My mother's husband told me that 2 men can't live in a house together. One gotta go. So I kicked him out and my mama. See, I'm a 38-year-old man and I stay with my mom. Well, she stays with me. I own the house. But 5 years ago, my dad cheated on my mom. They were together, they stayed together, and he cheated. Infidelity, that's what happened. He owned the house though. So once he cheated, my mom didn't have anywhere to go. Now my mama always been good toward me. She raised a damn good man and I love her. So I said, Mama, stay with me. Dad did what he did right and you don't want to be in that house. It's his house, I understand. You ain't got nowhere to go. You always got somewhere to go as long as I got a home. So my mama started staying with me. And we do things together. We watch movies. We go to the movies. We go to parks. We would bond a lot because, right, she's staying with me every day. So we hang out. That's my mama. We can hang out. We can go to the movie. We can go bowling. We can do all that. We were hanging out. And about 3 years ago, I think it was, 3 years ago, she said, son, I need me somebody. And I knew what she meant. I'm not dumb. I'm 38 years old at the time. Well, at the time I went 30. I'm 38 now. I know the body has needs. And me as your son, I can't do that. I won't do it. So I understand what you mean. Nobody wants to be alone, right? Like, of course, I'm here with you and we're hanging out, but you want a deeper connection, and I get that. Me too. And don't get me wrong, I had my fair share of tender dates and everything come through the house, but I get what she's saying. Mama need a life too. So my mama started bad dating, right? She met this guy, and her and the guy hit it off. They were dating for 3 years until they got married. They got married, right? Cool. You love him. You my mama, that's who you want to be with. Fine. That's fine. The thing is, after they got married, right? He started being at the house a lot more. He started moving things in. And okay, whatever. It's my house, but I got my own room. You and my mama together, okay. Cool. But he started talking to me when my mom wasn't around, saying, man, you almost 40 years old, still staying with your mama? Don't you think that's kind of old? And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, well, true. Most people my age don't live with their mom. Just trying to keep it. So, because I know what you're trying to say to me, but I'm not going to address that, right? I'm not going to address that, right? So he be dropping hint after hint after hint. He even one time showed me a magazine or a newspaper article about apartments in the area. And I was like, what you showing this to me for? Then he was like, well, 2 grown men can't live under one household. That's what he told me. And I said, oh, okay, brushed it off. So I went to talk to my mom about the ordeal, and I was like, yeah, so your husband been telling me 2 grown men can't stay in one household. What you know about that? And she was appalled. She was like, what? I'm going to go talk to him. I don't know what he's talking about. So my mom been completely in the dark. Because, of course, I was thinking, why would my mom even let him say such a thing knowing that I own the house? Now, At the house, I guess he thinking that I don't do nothing because I work from home. I stay in my room all the time. I pay people to take care of the yard. And my mom, she takes out the trash, right? So that's something she likes to do. So I let her do it. If she ain't like to do it, I do it. So I'm guessing he think I don't do anything. I'm just in the house. But whatever. So she talked to him and things quiet down for a while. Couple of weeks after she talked to him, he back up to his same antics telling me, hey man, two men can't live together. And I'm like, okay. Then he's like, you know, I know this is your family home and you feel comfortable here, but two men can't live together. And I'm like, this is not a family home. So, this is what happened, right? I'm in my room. I'm playing my game. I like to play the game. I'm an older man, but I like to play the game. He knocks on the door. I answer the door. He says, hey, you didn't see that plate on the sofa? So I go out and I look, and it's a plate. It's a plate on the sofa. It's a plate of spaghetti. And I'm like, I didn't see this plate. I've been in my room. Then he says, well, this plate has been here since yesterday. And I said, oh, well, it ain't mine. I didn't have this spaghetti. Then he said, it's my plate. I thought you would at least do something and clean up. Who the Excuse me, sir? He said, I thought you would at least do something and clean up. I said, man, I clean up. I clean up every mess that I make. You are a grown ass man. Talking about you left a plate on the sofa to see if somebody else would clean it up. Sir, I'm not cleaning up after you or nobody. Then he said, well, you don't do anything else in the house. And I said, because I don't have to do anything else. As long as I clean up after myself, I get the yard taken care of, and I pay my portion of the bills, I'm fine. Then he said, well, your portion of the bill don't have nothing to do with the mortgage of who owns the house. And I was like, oh, my mom didn't tell you. The house is paid for. Okay, well, it's still your mom's house. No, it's my house. My mom lives with me. I don't know if she told you that or not. He was under the impression that when he married my mom, everything that was hers was his. So he's thinking she owned the house and that it's his house too, now that they're married. That's why he had done moved his stuff on. And I'm like, why is this guy moving stuff into my house? So I told him, I was like, you know what? Thinking about something you said, two men can't live under one house. That's right, they can't. You're right about that. Because I'm not going to sit here and let a man tell me in my house what I don't do. I'm not going to sit here and let a man tell me, another man, to clean up after him. You can get your shit and you can get out. So I kicked him out. Now, the part where I might feel wrong, because even my dad, my biological dad, got on to me about it, is because I kicked my mom out too. I kicked my mom out right with him. Because she didn't tell him it was my house. He did all this yelling and sneak this and whatever you want to call it. And she didn't correct it efficiently. Like, she said something, but she didn't correct him. If she had to let him know I owned the house, that would have set him straight. So I'm not quite sure. Now, of course, my mom is always welcome in my house. But since two men can't stay together and you consider yourself a man, let me see how you take care of your wife. Let me see you go through some of those newspaper ads and you get an apartment. You step up and be a man. And how is your wife? That's why I kicked my mom out too. Now, like I said, my biological dad thinks I'm wrong for also kicking my mom out. Some other family members that have heard about the situation, they don't know all the details. But they know I kicked my mom out. And they think I'm wrong for that. So I'm wondering, did I go too far when I kicked my mom out too?
This woman said she met this Nigerian man on TikTok, and after talking for a year, she decided that she wanted to go and surprise him. They did discuss it before and everything, and he was like, no, I want to see you. I want to see you. And so, she saved up her coins and made her way to Nigeria so that they can meet in person for the first time. You already know what time it is. Story time. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let me actually go ahead and whip out my notes. I don't want to miss no parts. So let me whip out the notebook. So this Haitian woman was married for 11 years. Her and her husband had 3 kids before divorcing. After the divorce speech, she went, worked on herself, therapy, all that jazz. A few years after that, she ends up meeting this man on TikTok, a Nigerian man who is based in Nigeria. They hit it off, they talk, they get really close, really cool. She meets his mom, his sister, his brother, really his entire family, virtually, of course. They discuss her coming to see him, but not before he's talking about different enterprises that he is looking to start. With how well things were going between them, she decided that she wanted to help him out with his business, so she went ahead and she sent him some money for this supposed factory he was going to be building, and we'll get more into that a little bit later. Anyway, though, she coordinates with his mom and his sister to plan this like surprise visit after she checks in with him like, hey, I'm really thinking about coming. I just want to make sure, Neo, you're serious about me, blah, 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 blah. He's like, no, I'm serious. I want you to come. So she's like, say less. Fast forward, she plans the trip. She buys a bunch of stuff. She buys stuff for the mom, for the sister's baby, the entire family. And she buys him a whole bunch of stuff, nice things, expensive things, iPod phone, all that good stuff. On top of that, she also even gets things because she wants to donate some stuff to like orphanages and those who are in need while she's there. She arrives in Nigeria and has to travel to Benin City and Edo State. Now, she's there for a month. So when she initially gets there, the sister picks her up from the airport, gets her settled into the brother's house. The mom is there. Everyone is super welcoming, super nice. Now, the first night she gets there, she's welcomed, like I said, by the family and everything. Like, his mom prepares a meal for her. Now, she says that she was a little bit skeptical, especially because she's Haitian. But she was like, they were so kind to her. She didn't feel no type of way about it. And so she just went ahead and she ate the food. He gets in from work. He's coming in, doing his usual routine. He hasn't peeped that she's laying on the bed. He looks and he sees her and he seems to be really excited, really happy, really ecstatic. So he's hugging her, kissing her, telling her how happy he is to see her. The next day, his sister takes her to the market area so that she can exchange some money, but also pick up some fabric and some other stuff. On their way to the market, his sister is like, hey, just as a heads up, don't give my brother any money to exchange for you. I'll take you to the place. I'm gonna wait outside. That way you know what the rate is and you can deal with them directly. And so your money situation is private, but whatever you do not give my brother the money to exchange for you. At that moment, she's like, all right, no worries, no problem, and not really thinking anything more of it. Later that evening, they get back to the house and, the brother's like, oh, how's your day? Tell me about what you did, blah, blah, blah. And she mentions that they went by the place to exchange some money. And he's like, oh, who did you go with? Was my sister in there with you? Did she tell you where to go? Blah, 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 blah. And she's like, oh, yeah, your sister was super helpful. She took me to the place, da, da, da. All the things that the sister was like, oh, and don't bring this up. She brought all those things up to the man. And while he didn't really react in any way, she could tell that he was bothered by some of what was going on. But she couldn't really quite put her finger on it. But anyway, over the next few weeks, the sister starts coming around less and less and less to the point that she's not really coming around at all. The mom, who was the only one who was cooking and making sure that, she was fed and stuff like that, really stops cooking and everything. She's now starting to feel some type of way about it because she's like, why are people treating me like this? Why is everyone being mean? And so she confronts the sister and is like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, well, my brother said that, you felt like I was taking your money and, you said that you didn't like my mom's cooking, da da da. So apparently the brother, trying to mix up the mom, the sister, and the woman so that nobody would be on her side. Nobody would be there to support her. And so essentially she would be isolated. Now, knowing this about the guy, she, figured out that she needed to move differently because of just all the different things that he was doing. And she was realizing that the only person that was on her side was actually the sister. Now, the entire time she's there, they are doing adult activities, but when they did do these adult activities, it was unprotected. Keep that in mind because that'll be important for later. Y'all remember when I brought up the whole factory situation, how she had given him some money to invest into this business that he was trying to start up. The entire time she was there, she kept asking can you take me to the factory? I want to see the factory, blah, 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 because she gave him money towards his factory. And the entire time, nobody ever was able to tell her or take her to this factory for her to actually see it with her own eyes. And so, which for me personally, it would lead me to think I fenlo and it was giving lies. And, I digress. What was really bothering her, though, was the fact that the entire time she had been there up until that point, he hadn't taken her out to do anything. The only time she went out was when the sister took her out to explore, see, and do different things. Other than that, he wasn't taking her anywhere. And so she got fed up and she brought it up to him hey, what's going on? These are not the things that you were saying. These are not the things that you promised. We haven't done nothing. We've just been sitting in the house. And so he's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. that, blah, blah, blah. And so the next day he plans for them to go and do something. Now, here's the problem. They get to the area, they do the activity. She loves it. It's nice. It's a good time. But then when it's time to pay, he looks to her like, hey, you got some money for me? Annoyed, but still wanting to keep the peace, she goes ahead and like sends him some money so that he can take care of that, along with some other things that she needed him to take care of. Y'all tell me why, like, within 5 minutes of her sending him the money, he's already spent it on other things, talking about he needs more money because he had to use that for something else, but can't provide an explanation as far as how to speak. Even more frustrated, she sends him a little bit more money. Is like, hey, go ahead and cover this and we'll go from there. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but they manage. Fast forward to, around the time where she's supposed to be heading back. Now, here's where it really escalates. He had told her that, when it was time for her to head back, because she was going to fly out of Abuja, that he would fly with her to Abuja so that she wasn't there by herself, because she planned on spending a few days. He gets their flights and everything. The plan seems like it's solid. The day comes where they're actually supposed to head to the airport to head to Abuja. Now, all of a sudden, my guy's talking about, well, it's election time. My mom doesn't want me to be on the road. She said it's dangerous, blase, blase. Like, he knew this the entire time. And the entire time was like, he gonna go. But now all of a sudden, he talking about, oh, his mom said he can't go. Now, she's frustrated. She is screaming in the middle of the street. His sister is trying to calm her down because they were together. And like now the sister's husband has now been involved. And they're all trying to console her. And she's unconsolable. She's like, this doesn't make any sense, blah, blah, blah. The sister is in agreement because she's like, why would my mom say he can't go? Like, why would she even get involved in this? Now, the mom called and talking about, yeah, I said that he can't go. I said he can't go. But it's very obvious that, like, he's coaching his mom on what to say. Fed up and frustrated, she decides she just wants to go ahead and proceed and head to the airport. And so the sister and her husband take her to the airport. By the time she gets there, there's an issue with the flight. And so she actually has to stay over till the next day. At this point now, old boy is blowing up her phone talking about, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. If you give me another chance, I want to talk about it, da, 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 da. All of which ends up being all talk, no action. The next day she boards her flight. For those few days in Abuja, she actually ends up staying with one of her friends, which makes it a lot more enjoyable, but just a lot more comforting, especially given all that she had already gone through. Fast forward, she gets home. Fast forward a few months later, she still hasn't gotten her period, only to realize that she is what? Pregnant. She finds out that she's pregnant. They hadn't really been talking. So she debated whether or not she was even going to share that with him just because of his behavior. She was like, you know what? This would be his dome as much as it would be my dome. So let me just, go ahead and tell him this information. So she tells him and tells the sister and the mom. The sister seemed to be the one who cared the most. The brother, on the other hand, he was unbothered, unfazed, like would ask about the pregnancy every so often, but really didn't seem like he was too concerned about the situation. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Like after she looked at all that she had been through in the situation, see the way that the guy was acting, she was like, I don't know if I want to have this baby. And he really seemingly didn't care. So she's like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and terminate. She has so many different emotions going on in her mind and her body because, she had 3 other kids. She had never, had the big A before. And so she just was unsure, but she knew what she needed to do. She just needed to get her mind there. But as the universe would have it, she ended up having a miscarriage. She was like, oh, y'all want to play in my face? I'm going to do the same. She doesn't even tell them about the miscarriage. She lets them continue thinking that my guy has a son out here. A son that, he's not taking care of or investing anything into, but he really legitimately believes that he has a son out here. They believe that this child is 2 years old and she's been sending pictures all throughout. She has a cousin that has a son that is around that age. And so she has pictures and stuff like that she can utilize to be like, oh, like this is your son. She said in the long run, she was happy that, the miscarriage happened. While it was unfortunate, she was happy that it happened because had she still been, pregnant and delivered that baby, this is what she would have been dealing with, like in her present day, an absent father that essentially wanted nothing to do with their child or with her. Now, I don't know how much longer she's going to keep it going. And she said she don't feel not one bit bad because they played in her face that entire time. The entire family did.
Story time about how one of my male-centered friends lost everything she had behind a man. Just a little bit of background information. When we first became friends, I knew that she was male-centered, but it wasn't to the point where I felt like I had to stop being friends with her. You know how we all have friends who kind of just do dumb stuff when it comes to men? That's how I thought that she was. She also was a very big user of dating apps, and she would always meet men on dating apps and invite them back to her home where she lived alone. And to me, I always thought like, girl, are you crazy? Like, that's not okay. So fast forward, we decide to go to a R&B concert that's at the State Farm Arena. After the concert, we decide to go from the arena to Midtown to have late night happy hour at STK. Everything's good at STK. We're eating, kikiing, having a fine time. I get up and I go to the bathroom, right? So I come back from the bathroom and she like, girl, why this man come up to me and start having a conversation with me? Girl, he was tall. He was 6'7". I said, well, oh, okay. I said, well, where is he, right? She said, oh, he was just getting carry out. I was like, dang, I missed him. I said, did you get his information? Did you get his number or anything? She like, nah, girl, we just was having a quick conversation. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So we continue to eat and finish up the rest of the night, right? Now, please keep this in mind for the story. I drove to her house, where she lives in Lawrenceville. I parked my car there. We Ubered from her house to State Farm Arena for the concert because we didn't want to deal with parking and all of that. After the concert, the plan was for us to go back to her house and kind of have like a slumber party. So just chill, watch movies, talk, whatever. So we finish eating, and once we finish up, we walk outside of SCK to catch our Uber, and 6'7", we gonna call him 6'7", 6'7" and his friend are outside. Now, the way that she had explained this encounter, I'm expecting to see some Adonis, y'all. I'm expecting to see this tall, just real good looking man, right? When I seen him, I was like, now, he was in fact tall. Was he 6'7"? I don't know. When I seen him, girl, straight, I'm sorry, but he looks like a bum. He had on basketball shorts, like flip-flops, and a t-shirt. He didn't have no haircut. I'm like, this the man that you're talking about right now? So when I see him, I'm not impressed at all, right? But at that point, they see each other. He walks up to my friend and is kind of making small talk. Because mind you, we're waiting for our Uber. Or we hadn't ordered our Uber yet, but we were in the process of ordering our Uber. So 6'7" is with a friend, right? And so I'm kind of looking like, I said hi, of course, but I'm kind of looking like... So she's sitting here having conversation, like small talk with this man. And so while I'm waiting, I asked a friend to come snap some pictures of me in front of the STK sign. So he does that. He took some pictures of me, and then we had like little small talk conversation. By the time that happened, our Uber showed up for us to go back to her house. So now our Uber is here, and at this point, I guess my friend is 6'7", have exchanged numbers or social media or whatever. I say bye. We hop in the car. We going back to her house. Remember, I told you that we were in Midtown at STK. She lived in Lawrenceville, which is a good 40-minute drive. So we make it back to her house, and remember I told you that the plan was for us, I'm thinking the plan is for us to have a sleepover, kiki, watch movies, do whatever, and then I'll leave the next day. When we get back to her house, she tells me, oh yeah, I invited 6'7" and his friend back over here. I said, I'm sorry, what? You did what? Why? She like, oh, we're not going to be doing nothing really, you know what I'm saying? I just want to talk to them more, and we're not doing nothing else, so we might as well invite them over. First of all, we don't know these men from Adam. And while they did not look like threatening men, it's still extremely dangerous. Why would you invite men over that you don't even know to your home? You know what I'm saying? So me, I'm irritated about it, but I'm like, they didn't seem like they was super threatening. And me, I got my pew-pew, so I'm like, even if they try something, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, nuck if you buck, for real. So they come over, it's cool, it's chill, whatever. We end up playing Uno, right? Sitting at the table. And so we play a few games of Uno, and then we kind of break off into having our separate conversations. I'm talking to the friend about his job because he had a very intriguing, interesting job. So we start having a conversation about that, and then I notice that my friend and 6'7" are no longer sitting at the table. So after talking to his friend, I'm like, wait a minute, let me go see where they at, just to make sure, like, ain't no funny business going on. So I go upstairs, y'all. Why are they both in her bed? He's in her bed with his outside clothes on, talking about, oh yeah, I'm just up here rubbing her feet, you know, giving her a massage and stuff. I'm like, you got him in the bed with his outside clothes on, and y'all just up here having a whole little good time, and you got him massaging your feet like you don't even know this guy. What are you doing? So at this point, gotta be about 1:30. So I'm like, well, I'm about to wrap it up. I'm about to put my pajamas on and probably get in the bed. So yeah. So she like, yeah, it's time to wrap it up. And so I head back downstairs and they follow me back downstairs to tell 6-7 and his friend goodnight. So we wrap everything up, we tell them goodnight, they leave, and we both go to bed. The next day we have breakfast and we're kind of just recapping everything and just chit-chatting, right? And so I'm like, ask her, I'm like, so did you like him, or were you feeling him? Are you interested in him? She like, girl, no. She like, girl, I am going to block him. I don't like him at all. He is not my type. No. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, I figured that he wouldn't be your type, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool, right? Never spoke nothing else of them. So fast forward a few months later, me and her go and we have dinner just to catch up and chit chat. So I bring it up like, oh yeah, have you talked to those guys from that night at the concert? She like, girl, no. She like, I blocked them and never talked to him. I was like, oh, okay, bet. I'm thinking I'm never gonna hear about them again. It's gonna get good, y'all, I promise. Please just stick through this with me. So after me and my friend had dinner, life started getting really, really difficult for her. Like, she lost her mom and her sister like within weeks of each other. And she was the person in the family that was in charge of everything. So she had to plan the funerals and it was just a lot going on, right? And so, you know, me just as her friend on the outside looking in, I'm like, girl, you know, if you need anything, let me know. If there's anything I can do, if you just want to talk, like whatever, like, you know, I'm here for you. Our communication during this time was patchy, but I expected it to be like that because, you know, it was a lot going on in her life. So I wasn't, you know, I didn't feel no type of way that we were not talking that much. So once things with her family died down, I get this text message from her. She like, yeah, I'm thinking about moving to Texas. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? She was born and raised in Georgia and she was going through a lot within her life. And so I'm like, moving to Texas might be a fresh start. But things was moving super duper fast, y'all. Like, very weirdly fast. Like, within the month, she had quit her job, sold all of her stuff in her townhome, put her house on the market. Like, it was moving expeditiously. So I'm like, okay, you say you want to move to Texas and literally a few weeks later you done already sold all your stuff. But maybe, you know, she was just that determined to get out of Georgia. So that's understandable. Long story short, y'all, this girl ended up completely ghosting me, right? So I would reach out to her like, hey, did you know, how's everything going with the move? Did you need any help with the move? Have you sold all your stuff? You know, just trying to get updates like you would from a friend, right? Nothing from her. So after a few months go by and I don't hear nothing from her after she moved to Texas, I'm like, okay, maybe she moved to Texas and just wanted to completely start her life over, forget everybody that she knew in Georgia and whatever. So I'm like, okay, it is what it is. So some months go by, y'all. This gotta be like 4 to 6 months later, right? After not hearing from her, I get this random text message and it's from her. She like, hey girl, so sorry that I went ghost. It's been so much going on. I really would love to talk to you. I really would love to catch up. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how's the move to Texas? Are you liking Texas? What's going on? Y'all, tell me why this girl moved to Texas with 6-7. When she called me and told me that she moved to Texas with 6-7, my mouth was on the floor. Because mind you, this is the same man that you told me months ago that you was never going to speak to again. And now you done moved to Texas with him? I was flabbergasted. Not only did she move to Texas with 6-7, 6-7 was in the military, and I guess he was like had a disability or something where he wasn't working. He didn't have a job. Mind you, y'all, she was paying all of the bills. She paid all of their moving expenses. She paid to move 2 of her cars. She got a job. He did not have a job. So she telling me all of this, and I'm just, my mind is blown. I'm at a loss for words. I can't even talk. I'm just listening. She done moved with this man to Texas, and he did exactly what a man would have done. He started cheating on her. Hello? So she finds out that he starts cheating on her, right? Because apparently, obviously, they moved to Texas together. They became together in a relationship. I missed all of that, right? She didn't tell me. So he starts cheating on her. I mean, he's taking women on dates in her car, just moving real foul. Like, I think he was possibly had an STD. Like, it got real crazy. Like, he was losing his mind. So long story short, things between her and 6'7" go completely south. And I'm just like, you moved to Texas with a man that you told me that you was never gonna speak to again. I was just like, I can't even believe it. I was just like, how did this even happen? And so when you move to Texas, different states have different laws. And when you move to Texas, I believe you can't just break a lease. Like, you know how in some places, some states, you can like pay whatever, and then you can break your lease and just move out. In Texas, I believe you cannot break a lease without paying up the rent for however long the lease is. I'm not sure, but I forgot to tell y'all that in the midst of all of this, she also got fired from her job. Now she don't have a job. He doesn't have an income. She was paying all of the bills. She has pretty much depleted all of her savings, all of the money that she was getting from her job. Like, she has no money. She doesn't have any money to break the lease, and neither does he. So they're going back and forth trying to figure out what they're going to do, because at this point, she wants to move back to Georgia, right? But 6'7", he wants to stay in Texas because he's found himself and he has this new life in Texas now. Child, I was just like, what the heck? So they worked out something, right, for her to move back to Georgia and he stayed in Texas and continue to pay the rent on wherever they live. When I say she lost everything, she lost everything. So now you in Texas with this man that you barely know, that you met not even a year ago, that you done moved 1,000 miles to Texas with. You don't have a job. You don't have no money. He don't have no money. Y'all not together. Y'all just coexisting. You don't have nothing. It's nothing that you can do. So thankfully, my friend and 6'7" was able to come to an agreement that he was going to stay in the apartment and she was going to take her name off the lease and move back to Atlanta. She packed what little that she had. I think her dad or somebody had to help her move back to Atlanta because she didn't have any money or anything. Now, I'm not sure what she did with her cars. Maybe she still had one of her cars. And I think she sold the other one maybe for some money. I can't really remember because it's been a while. But long story short, she was able to go back to Atlanta. And so she moved back to Atlanta. She had to start completely over. I think she was living like in her dad's basement until she could get a job and get back on her feet and start everything over. Now, here's what got me, right? Because I'm like, okay, you back in Atlanta. And she was kind of reaching out to me like, oh, I want to possibly, we can go out for coffee or something and kind of revive our friendship. And I'm kind of like, So we never made it to coffee, and I'm about to tell y'all why. This girl got the nerve to tell me, basically we was talking about her getting back on her feet or whatever, right? So this probably a month or two maybe after she's moved back to Georgia. She's like, yeah, I've been looking for a job. Yeah, I'm staying with my dad in his basement, but this is not gonna last too long. She proceeds to say, yeah, my man told me that I can come stay with him maybe until I get on my feet. I said, your man? I kid you not, y'all. The last text message I ever sent that girl said, oh, wow, new man already? I think I blocked her, or I just did not respond to her. I was just like, oh, yeah, you gotta go. Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras. Quit playing. Quit playing. What do you mean you have a new man already? She had met a new man either on a dating site or it was a man that she had already knew that was on a dating site. What do you mean you got a new man? I was so just, I was outdone. I was just like, yeah, it's no room on God's green earth for us to ever have a friendship. You went through all of that just dealing with a man. You trying to tell me that you can't be by yourself for 2.5 seconds before you hop into another situation? She is the definition, y'all, of male-centered. And you have to be so careful when dealing with male-centered women, because they be the type of women that will do anything for a man. Those murder shows that you see that be like For My Man, where women be crashing out and unaliving people over men, those be those types of females. And you don't want that type of female around you because they are dangerous and scary. What do you mean you have a man already? Are you cool? So yeah, y'all, long story short, I never responded to her after that message. She might have said something to me after that. I can't really remember, but she wasn't even a bad person. Like, she was a cool girl. You know what I'm saying? She was a cool chick. It's just, you know, I try not to get too involved in my friends' love lives, because at the end of the day, it's your life. But I don't even want that type of mentality attached to me, because they say birds of a feather flock together, and I promise you, we was not birds of the same kind. I'm not a bird at all.
Yeah, my ex asked for a divorce 4 days after my wedding. So we got married at the courthouse in December 2019. We met in college. We had been together for 5 years already. I had never had a relationship where someone love bombed me. He said, "I love you," within the first like 30 days. I had never really had an experience like that. So our relationship started out like this, with like a lot of roses, and my last relationship before that was someone who would not even commit to me. So it started out really good, and it went downhill really fast. Really a lot of toxicity, so I got addicted to the highs and lows really quick. Fast forward, we both graduate college together, and we moved into our first apartment in Chicago together. We went through a really low point and then got engaged in 2018. For some reason, I don't know why, we still got engaged. I loved him. I did not know how to be alone, I guess. Another huge red flag is my ex was not a citizen of this country. He was a Mexican immigrant, so we wanted to get married at the courthouse to get everything going faster and have our wedding, like the celebration part, afterwards. And he had a bigger family since he was Mexican, and so he always had said like, okay, well, yeah, that's important to me to have a wedding, to have all my family see it. And so, like, let's save up and do it the right way, you know? I regretted it the day we got officially married at City Hall. Initially, we said that it was going to be just us, but I started getting, not cold feet, but I started being like, well, I want my mom to be there. Like, I don't want to get married without my mom and dad. And I had expressed that to him. I told him that a few weeks before, and we agreed that I was going to invite my mom, dad, and my cousin, because she's my best friend, and he was okay with that, and he invited his parents. And a huge red flag was that they were like, oh, we're not coming. And his brother decided to come, but like his parents were like, oh, we're not coming. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, you don't want to see your son get married. But my parents were like, of course we're coming. Like, we're not missing that. You know what I mean? And so I go that morning to get my hair done, and my hairstylist is like, you know what? There's this website called Hotels Tonight, and you can get last minute hotels, and it'd be a super cute idea. Why don't you guys get like a hotel and do a staycation, like a high rise? You guys can get drinks and have like a little mini moon, because we lived up in Rogers Park at this point, and I don't know if you guys know, but that's like 30 minutes away, and it's like not really in the city. It's kind of far out, and I was like, this would be super cute. So I get home from my hair appointment, and I'm like, oh my god, I got this hotel for us. I'm so excited. He's in the shower, and he goes, why? And this is like a typical thing for him. Like, I don't even know why I thought he'd be excited. And I'm like, oh, like a staycation, like it'll be so exciting. He goes, well, why would you waste money on that? And I'm like, well, because we're getting married. And he goes, this is like also like in front of my parents. Like, he's like acting like this in front of my family. I'm just like, oh, well, I just thought it'd be like a good idea. Like, we could celebrate, we could have some drinks. And he's just like, you always have to do too much. And this is like a typical ass like reaction. And I'm just like, and in my head, I'm like, why do I always do this? Like, this is how he like trained me to be. I'm like, why do I always ruin everything? You know what I mean? And so we go to City Hall, we get married, we have dinner with my family, we get home, and I'm like, okay, like, let's go to the hotel. And he goes, he's just sitting there, he's ignoring me. I'm like, what's wrong? Like, are we gonna go? He's like, I don't fucking want to. Like, why do you always have to do everything like this? Like, he starts like yelling at me. And I'm like, well, I already paid like $200 like for this really nice hotel. And I start crying because I'm just like sitting there thinking like, why did I marry somebody like this who acts like this about every single thing that I do? Like, I'm just trying to do something nice for once. And so I called my cousin and I told her the truth, and I was like, can you come meet me at the hotel, like, and stay with me? Like, let's go have some drinks at the hotel bar and have a good time. So I drive to go meet my cousin at the hotel bar, and I'm like, all right, let's just have a time. And she meets me there. And halfway through, my sorry ass ex shows up and he's like, oh, sorry, I don't know why I act like this. And he always did that. Like, he was like, I don't know why I'm like this. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know either. You know, and he would like have little spouts where he's like, I don't know why I act like this. But I remember sitting there sobbing to my cousin. And there was a point where I was like by myself, like in the car, and I went on my back porch before any of that. And I was just sitting there sobbing and being like, I made a mistake. Like, why did I marry him? Like, I made a horrible mistake.